What would you do if the person you trusted most in the world turned everyone against you? Today's story is about a mother who lost everything in a single day: her reputation, her home, and nearly her son. But inside that courtroom, something unexpected happened. A voice no one anticipated would speak the truth that changed everything. Before the story begins, please leave us a comment telling us which state or city you are watching from. Do not forget to like and subscribe so this channel can grow and bring you more exciting stories. That Tuesday morning started like any other for Maya Chun. She woke up at 5:30, just as she had for the past 9 years. The house was still dark and quiet. She moved through the kitchen with practiced silence, preparing breakfast for her family. Maya had always been an early riser. It was the only time she had to herself before the chaos of the day began. She made fresh orange juice, scrambled eggs with herbs from her small garden, and toast with homemade strawberry jam. Everything had to be perfect. That was what her mother-in-law, Mrs. Patricia Dawson, expected. At 6:15, her husband Marcus came downstairs. He was dressed in his usual crisp white shirt and navy tie. Marcus worked as a senior manager at a prestigious investment firm. He had worked hard to get where he was, and Maya had supported him every step of the way. "Good morning, honey," Maya said softly, placing his coffee exactly how he liked it, black, 2 sugars, served in his favorite blue mug. Marcus sat down and picked up his phone. He did not look at her. He did not say good morning. He simply sipped his coffee and scrolled through his emails. Maya stood near the counter, wiping down surfaces that were already clean. The silence between them had become normal over the past year. She could not remember the last time they had a real conversation. She could not remember the last time he had smiled at her. "Is Ethan awake?" Marcus asked without lifting his eyes from the screen. "Yes, he's getting dressed. He'll be down in a minute," Maya replied. Sure enough, moments later, the sound of small footsteps came down the stairs. Ethan, their 9-year-old son, appeared in his school uniform. His backpack was almost as big as he was. His smile was bright despite the early hour. "Good morning, Mom." "Good morning, Dad," Ethan said cheerfully. Maya's heart warmed. Ethan was her world. Everything she did, every sacrifice she made was for him. Marcus finally put down his phone. He looked at Ethan with a smile that never appeared when he looked at Maya. "Good morning, champ. Ready for school?" "Yes, Dad. I studied for my math test last night. Mom helped me." Marcus glanced briefly at Maya, then back at Ethan. "That's good. Make sure you do your best." They finished breakfast in relative silence. Marcus kissed Ethan on the forehead, grabbed his briefcase, and headed to the door. As always, he walked past Maya as if she were invisible. No goodbye. No kiss. No acknowledgement. The door closed behind him. Maya stood in the empty kitchen, listening to the sound of his car driving away. She took a deep breath and started clearing the table. This was her life. Invisible. Unappreciated. But she kept going because of Ethan. Later that morning, after Maya dropped Ethan at school, she returned home to finish her chores. The house was large and elegant, located in one of the most expensive neighborhoods in the city. It had 5 bedrooms, a large garden, and a pool. But to Maya, it felt like a prison. She was folding laundry in the living room when the doorbell rang. A delivery man stood at the door holding a large envelope. "Mrs. Maya Chin?" he asked. "Yes, that's me." "Sign here, please." Maya signed the digital pad and took the envelope. It was thick and heavy. There was no return address, only the logo of a law firm in the corner. Her heart sank. She had a terrible feeling about this. She closed the door and sat on the couch. Her hands trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside was a stack of legal documents. The first page made her blood run cold. Petition for divorce and full custody. Plaintiff, Marcus Dawson defendant, Maya Chun grounds, abandonment of parental duties and financial misconduct. Maya's vision blurred. She read the words again, hoping she had misunderstood. But there was no mistake. Marcus was divorcing her, and he was demanding full custody of Ethan. The document went on to list accusations that made Maya feel sick. Marcus claimed she was neglectful. He claimed she was unstable. He claimed she had stolen money from their joint account. None of it was true. But the worst part was the custody demand. Marcus was asking the court to take Ethan away from her completely. He claimed Maya was unfit to be a mother. Maya collapsed onto the floor. The papers scattered around her. Her whole body shook with sobs. How could Marcus do this? How could he lie like this? She did not hear the door open. She did not hear the footsteps. But suddenly, a cold voice filled the room. So, you received it. Maya looked up. Marcus was standing in the doorway. He must have come back from work early. His face was emotionless, as if he were looking at a stranger. Marcus, what is this? Why are you doing this? Maya's voice cracked. Marcus did not answer right away. He walked over, loosened his tie, and looked down at her with cold eyes. I'm done, Maya. I'm done pretending this marriage works. You've failed. You've failed as a wife and as a mother. Failed, Maya whispered in disbelief. I've given up everything for you. I left my career. I take care of Ethan. I take care of this house. What do you mean I've failed? Marcus laughed bitterly. You think taking care of the house is enough? You think cooking meals and doing laundry makes you valuable? You're nothing but a burden, Maya. My mother was right. I should have never married you. The mention of his mother made everything clear. Patricia Dawson had never liked Maya. From the very beginning, she had made it clear that Maya was not good enough for her son. And now, it seemed, she had finally convinced Marcus of the same. This house, the car, the savings, everything is mine, Marcus continued. You contributed nothing. And Ethan deserves better than a mother who does nothing all day. You can't take Ethan from me, Maya cried. He's my son. I won't let you. Marcus crouched down and looked her in the eye. His expression was filled with hatred. You won't have a choice, Maya. My lawyer has everything prepared. You'll lose. And when you do, you'll leave this house with nothing. He stood up and walked toward the stairs. Before disappearing, he turned back one last time. Get used to the idea, Maya. Ethan will have a better life without you. Maya did not sleep that night. She lay in Ethan's room, watching him sleep peacefully. His small face looked so innocent, so unaware of the storm that was about to tear their family apart. How could she tell him? How could she explain that his father wanted to take him away from her? The next morning, Marcus acted as if nothing had happened. He woke up, got dressed, and took Ethan to school as usual. He did not speak a single word to Maya. When they left, Maya knew she had to act fast. She grabbed her phone and started searching for lawyers. She called 5 different law offices. The responses were all the same. Our consultation fee is $500. We require a $10,000 retainer to take your case. Do you have any assets in your name? Bank accounts? Property? Maya's heart sank with each call. She had nothing. For 9 years, Marcus had controlled all the finances. He gave her a monthly allowance for groceries and household expenses. Every purchase had to be justified. Every receipt had to be saved. She opened the banking app on her phone with trembling fingers. Their joint savings account appeared on the screen. The balance was 0. Maya refreshed the page, thinking it was an error. But the 0 remained. She checked the transaction history. Over the past 6 months, Marcus had systematically withdrawn large sums of money. The last withdrawal was just 3 days ago, emptying the account completely. He had planned this. He had drained their savings so she could not fight back. Maya felt panic rising in her chest. How was she supposed to hire a lawyer with no money? Then she remembered her jewelry. The pieces her grandmother had given her before she passed away. Surely those were worth something. She ran to her bedroom and opened her jewelry box. It was empty. Only a few cheap costume pieces remained. Marcus had taken everything valuable. Maya sank to the floor, sobbing. She felt helpless. Powerless. Exactly as Marcus wanted her to feel. But then she remembered someone. An old college friend named Lisa, who worked at a community legal aid center. Maya had not spoken to her in years, but she had no other choice. She dialed the number with shaking hands. Hello, Lisa? It's Maya. Maya Chin. I don't know if you remember me, but I need help. Please. There was a pause. Then Lisa's voice softened. Maya? Of course I remember you. What's wrong? Maya explained everything between sobs. The divorce papers. The custody battle. The empty bank accounts. The stolen jewelry. When she finished, there was a long silence. Maya, I'm so sorry, Lisa said quietly. I can't take your case myself. I work in immigration law now. But I know someone who might help you. His name is David Morrison. He runs a small practice and sometimes takes pro bono cases. Let me give you his number. Maya wrote down the information with trembling hands. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. Maya, one more thing, Lisa said. Be careful. If your husband has planned this so thoroughly, he's not going to play fair. Document everything. Save every message. Record every conversation if you can. You're going to need evidence. David Morrison's office was located above a small bookstore in an older part of town. The building had seen better days, but it was clean and welcoming. Maya climbed the narrow stairs to the second floor and knocked on the door marked Morrison Legal Services. "Come in," a voice called. Maya entered. The office was small but organized. Bookshelves lined the walls, filled with legal texts. Behind a modest desk sat a man in his 50s with kind eyes and graying hair. "You must be Maya," he said, standing up to shake her hand. "I'm David Morrison. Please have a seat." Maya sat down. She felt exhausted. She had not eaten or slept properly in days. Attorney Morrison listened patiently as Maya told her story. He did not interrupt. He simply nodded and took notes. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair and sighed deeply. "Maya, I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to be very difficult. Your husband has prepared everything carefully. He wants to destroy you, not just divorce you." "I know," Maya whispered. "But I don't care about the house or the money. I just want Ethan. Please help me. I'll pay you somehow. I'll work. I'll do anything." Attorney Morrison looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Let's not worry about money right now. What matters is moving quickly. Your husband has already filed. We need to respond immediately." He pulled out the divorce petition and studied it carefully. As he read, his expression grew more serious. "Your husband's attorney is Richard Sullivan. He's known for being aggressive and ruthless. And the accusations here are severe." He showed Maya the documents. There were photographs attached. Photos of their home looking messy and disorganized. Photos of unwashed dishes in the sink. Photos of Ethan's toys scattered across the floor. "But this isn't fair," Maya protested. "These photos were taken during the week I had the flu. I was sick in bed with a fever for 5 days. Marcus refused to help with anything. He took these photos on purpose." Attorney Morrison nodded grimly. "That's what I suspected. These are manipulated to make you look neglectful." He turned to the next section. It was a financial report showing excessive spending on luxury items. Designer handbags. Expensive spa treatments. Shopping sprees at high-end stores. "I never bought any of these things," Maya said, her voice shaking. "I've never even been to these stores." "Was there a credit card in your name?" Attorney Morrison asked. "Yes, a supplementary card. But Marcus had it. He said I should only use it for emergencies, but he used it himself all the time." "He set you up," Attorney Morrison said quietly. "He made purchases in your name to create a false picture of you being wasteful and irresponsible." Maya felt sick. Every small thing she had overlooked, every time she had trusted Marcus, had been part of his plan to destroy her. Then Attorney Morrison reached the final section. His face darkened. "This is the most damaging part, Maya." "What is it?" "An expert witness report. A child psychologist named Dr. Helena Sterling. She claims to have observed your interactions with Ethan over several months. Her conclusion is that you're emotionally unstable and a danger to Ethan's psychological development. She recommends full custody to your husband." Maya's hands flew to her mouth. "That's impossible. I never met any psychologist." "When did this happen?" Attorney Morrison checked the report. According to this, the observations were conducted in public places. "At the park. At the grocery store. At Ethan's school. She claims you were emotionally volatile and neglectful." "This is insane," Maya cried. "Ethan is happy with me. Anyone can see that. Who is this woman?" Attorney Morrison flipped to the credentials page. "Dr. Helena Sterling. Licensed psychologist. She has an impressive resume. On paper, she looks completely legitimate." He looked at Maya seriously. "Maya, do you know this woman? Have you ever seen her before?" Maya shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "No, I've never seen her in my life." Returning home after meeting Attorney Morrison was one of the hardest things Maya had ever done. Marcus had not moved out. He still lived in the house, sleeping in the guest room. They had to exist under the same roof, pretending everything was normal in front of Ethan. But Marcus had a strategy. In front of their son, he became the perfect father. He came home from work earlier than he had in years. He brought gifts and surprises. One evening, Marcus arrived with a large box wrapped in bright paper. "Ethan, come here, buddy. I have something for you," Marcus called out. Ethan ran downstairs, his eyes wide with excitement. "What is it, Dad?" "Open it and see." Ethan tore open the wrapping. Inside was the latest gaming console, the one every kid in his class wanted. "Wow. Thank you, Dad. This is amazing. Ethan threw his arms around Marcus. Maya watched from the kitchen doorway, her heart aching. She knew what Marcus was doing. He was buying Ethan's loyalty. She could not compete. She had no money to buy expensive gifts. Marcus looked over at Maya with a cold smile. You see, son? When you live with Dad after the divorce, you'll get nice things like this. Not just boring home-cooked meals. Maya bit her lip. She wanted to scream. She wanted to tell Ethan the truth. But she could not. If she got angry, it would only prove Marcus's accusations that she was unstable. So she turned back to the kitchen and continued washing dishes, silent tears falling into the soapy water. The psychological warfare continued every day. Marcus undermined her at every opportunity. If Maya prepared dinner, Marcus would taste it and say in front of Ethan, "The chicken is a bit dry, don't you think, champ? Tomorrow we'll order from that steakhouse you like." If Maya tried to help Ethan with his homework, Marcus would interrupt. "Let me handle it, son. Mom's teaching method is confusing. You'll learn better with me." Slowly, Maya watched as doubt crept into Ethan's eyes. The boy still loved his mother, but he was being pulled in another direction. One night, Maya could not sleep. She walked quietly to Ethan's room to check on him. She opened the door slightly and saw him sleeping peacefully. On his desk was the new gaming console Marcus had bought. But as Maya approached to tuck Ethan in, she noticed something strange. Ethan was clutching something under his pillow. Maya looked carefully. It was his old smartphone, the one with the cracked screen that she had told him not to use anymore, because it might cut his fingers. Why was Ethan hiding his old phone under his pillow when he had a brand new one on his desk? Maya frowned but did not think much of it. Children often formed attachments to old things. She kissed Ethan on the forehead and returned to her room, her mind heavy with worry. She had no idea that old phone contained a secret that would change everything. The tension in the house reached its peak one Friday evening. Maya was preparing dinner when Marcus came home earlier than usual. But he was not alone. Through the window, Maya saw a woman get out of Marcus's car. She was elegant and well-dressed, wearing a designer suit and heels. Her blonde hair was styled perfectly. She carried herself with confidence. Maya's heart stopped. She knew immediately who this woman was. Marcus and the woman walked to the front door, laughing together. When they entered, Marcus called out, "Ethan, come down here. I want you to meet someone." Ethan ran down the stairs. When he saw the woman, he stopped, confused. "Ethan, this is Ms. Sterling. She's a friend of mine," Marcus said with a smile. "Ms. Sterling?" Maya's blood ran cold. Dr. Helena Sterling, the psychologist who had written the false report. She was here, in their home. Helena crouched down to Ethan's level. "Hello, Ethan. Your father has told me so much about you. I brought you something." She pulled out a bag from an expensive toy store. "Wow, thank you," Ethan said, but he looked uncomfortable. He glanced back at his mother, who stood frozen in the kitchen doorway. Marcus put his hand on Helena's shoulder. "Miss Sterling is going to be around more often. She's very important to Dad." The message was clear. Marcus was not even trying to hide it anymore. This woman, the one who had lied in court documents, was his mistress. Maya found her voice. "Ethan, go to your room, please." "But Mom." "Now, Ethan." The boy grabbed the toy bag and ran upstairs, sensing the tension. As soon as Ethan was gone, Maya turned to Marcus. Her voice was shaking with rage. "How dare you bring her here? Into our home? In front of our son?" Marcus smiled coldly. "This is my home, Maya. I can bring whoever I want here. Besides, you should get used to Helena. She's going to be part of Ethan's life very soon." Helena stood beside Marcus, her arm linked through his. She looked at Maya with barely concealed contempt. "Your husband deserves someone who appreciates him, Mrs. Chun. Someone successful. Someone who contributes more than just cooking and cleaning." Maya's hands clenched into fists. "You wrote lies about me. You said I was unstable and neglectful. You've never even spoken to me. How could you do that?" Helena laughed. "I observed you, Mrs. Chun. I saw how you acted in public. I saw how you yelled at Ethan at the supermarket. I saw how you ignored him at the park. I simply reported what I saw." "Those are lies," Maya shouted. "Are they?" Helena stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Or are you just a bitter woman who's losing everything because you were never good enough?" Marcus watched with satisfaction as Maya trembled with anger and humiliation. This was exactly what he wanted. He wanted her to break down. He wanted her to look unstable. But Maya forced herself to take a deep breath. She would not give them the satisfaction. "Get out of my house," Maya said quietly. Your house. Marcus laughed. You really don't understand, do you? You have nothing, Maya. No money. No property. No career. No future. And soon no son. Helena leaned into Marcus. We should go, darling. We have dinner reservations. As they walked toward the door, Marcus turned back one last time. Enjoy your time with Ethan while you can, Maya. After the trial, you'll be lucky if you get supervised visitation once a month. The door slammed shut. Maya collapsed against the wall, her whole body shaking. Upstairs, hidden in the shadows of the hallway, Ethan had heard everything. His small hands were clutched around his old cracked phone. He had been recording. Before the trial, the court ordered mediation. It was a last attempt to settle things outside of the courtroom. But Maya knew it was pointless. Marcus did not want compromise. He wanted total victory. They sat in a small conference room. Attorney Morrison sat beside Maya. Across the table were Marcus and his attorney, Richard Sullivan, a sharp-faced man in an expensive suit. The mediator, a tired-looking woman in her 60s, tried to find common ground. Let's start with custody, she said. Mrs. Chun, what are you asking for? Attorney Morrison spoke calmly. Mrs. Chun is willing to discuss property division, but she is asking for primary custody of Ethan, or at minimum, equal shared custody. Before he could finish, Richard Sullivan interrupted. That's out of the question. My client is seeking full custody. Mrs. Chun has proven herself to be unstable and unfit. That's not true, Maya said, her voice breaking. Sullivan slammed a folder onto the table. We have photographic evidence of neglect. We have financial records showing irresponsible spending. We have expert testimony from a licensed psychologist. Mrs. Chun is a danger to the child's well-being. Those photos were taken when I was sick, Maya protested. The spending was done by Marcus, not me. And that psychologist never even spoke to me. Sullivan smirked. Mrs. Chun, if you continue with this denial, we will take this to trial. And I assure you, the evidence we present will humiliate you. Every failure, every mistake, every moment of weakness will be exposed. Marcus sat back in his chair, his face expressionless. He looked at Maya as if she were nothing. My client is being generous, Sullivan continued. He's willing to let you leave the marriage without a counter lawsuit. You can walk away quietly. But Ethan stays with his father. Are you insane? Maya's voice rose. I'm his mother. I won't give him up. Then we'll see you in court, Sullivan said coldly. He stood up and gathered his papers. And when we're done, you'll have nothing. The mediation ended. As they left the building, Attorney Morrison put a hand on Maya's shoulder. Stay strong, Maya. The real fight starts now. The courtroom was intimidating. High ceilings, wooden benches, and the judge's bench looming above everything. Maya sat beside Attorney Morrison, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. On the other side sat Marcus with Richard Sullivan. Marcus looked confident, almost bored. He was certain he had already won. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Judge Patricia Hernandez was a stern woman in her late 50s with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Be seated, she said. We are here for the matter of Dawson versus Chin. Divorce and custody petition. Mr. Sullivan, you may present your opening statement. Richard Sullivan stood up smoothly. His voice was clear and commanding. Your Honor, this case is about protecting a child. Ethan Dawson is a bright, loving 9-year-old boy who deserves stability and proper care. Unfortunately, his mother, Mrs. Maya Chun, has failed to provide that. He walked toward the evidence table and picked up the photographs. Your Honor, I present Exhibit A, photographs of the family home showing complete neglect. Dirty dishes piled in the sink. Toys scattered everywhere. Laundry left unwashed for days. Maya wanted to scream that it was all lies, but Attorney Morrison placed a calming hand on her arm. Sullivan continued. Exhibit B. Financial records showing that while my client worked tirelessly to support the family, Mrs. Chin spent thousands of dollars on luxury items. Designer handbags. Spa treatments. Expensive dinners. And most importantly, Sullivan said, his voice rising, we have Exhibit C. The testimony of Dr. Helena Sterling, a respected child psychologist who observed Mrs. Chen's behavior over several months. Her conclusion is clear. Mrs. Chun is emotionally unstable and poses a risk to Ethan's psychological development. He turned to face Maya directly. Your Honor, we are not here to punish Mrs. Chun. We are here to save a child from an unfit parent. We ask the court to grant full custody to Mr. Dawson. Sullivan sat down with a satisfied expression. Now it was Attorney Morrison's turn. He stood up slowly and looked around the courtroom. "Your Honor," he began quietly, "what we have just heard is not evidence. It is a carefully constructed lie. A character assassination planned by a husband who wants to escape his marriage without consequences." He pointed to the photographs. These photos were taken when Mrs. Chun was severely ill with the flu. She was bedridden for 5 days. During that time, Mr. Dawson refused to help with household tasks. He deliberately let the house fall into disarray so he could take these pictures. As for the financial records, Morrison continued, the credit card in question was controlled by Mr. Dawson. He made those purchases himself and blamed them on his wife. He paused and looked directly at the judge. And the expert testimony? From a psychologist who never conducted a proper evaluation? Who never interviewed Mrs. Chun? Who observed from a distance and made conclusions that fit my client's narrative? Morrison's voice grew stronger. "Your Honor, Maya Chun is not perfect. No parent is. But she has dedicated her life to her son. She gave up her career. She sacrificed everything. Do not let this manufactured evidence destroy the bond between a mother and her child." He sat down. The room was silent. Judge Hernandez looked at both sides. "This court will hear all evidence before making any decisions. Mr. Sullivan, call your first witness." "The plaintiff calls Dr. Helena Sterling," Sullivan announced. The courtroom doors opened. Helena walked in wearing a professional gray suit, her hair pulled back elegantly. She looked calm and confident. She took the oath and sat in the witness stand. Maya's stomach turned. She could smell Helena's perfume even from across the room. It was the same scent that had been on Marcus's clothes that night. Sullivan began his questioning. "Dr. Sterling, please state your credentials for the court." "I have a doctorate in clinical psychology from Stanford University. I've been a licensed psychologist for 12 years. I specialize in child development and family dynamics." "And did you have the opportunity to observe Mrs. Maya Chun and her son Ethan?" "Yes, I did. Over a period of 3 months, I conducted naturalistic observations of their interactions in various public settings." "What did you observe?" Helena opened a notebook and began reading in a calm, clinical voice. "I observed several concerning patterns. Mrs. Chun displayed emotional volatility, inconsistent parenting, and signs of depression. She described specific incidents. On one occasion at a shopping mall, Mrs. Chun grabbed Ethan roughly by the arm and shouted at him in front of other shoppers. The child appeared frightened and began crying. Maya closed her eyes. She remembered that day. Ethan had run toward an escalator without looking and nearly fell. Maya had grabbed him to pull him back to safety. She had shouted because she was terrified he might get hurt. But Helena was twisting it into abuse. Helena continued. On another occasion at a public park, I observed Mrs. Chun sitting on a bench, absorbed in her phone, while Ethan played alone. When Ethan fell from the playground equipment, Mrs. Chun did not notice immediately. When she finally did, her reaction was excessive and hysterical. Another lie. Maya had been texting Attorney Morrison about the case. She had seen Ethan trip and had run to comfort him. A concerned mother, not a hysterical one. Based on your observations, what is your professional opinion? Sullivan asked. Helena looked directly at the judge. Mrs. Chun does not have the emotional stability to care for a 9-year-old child. She exhibits signs of severe stress, possible depression, and inappropriate emotional responses. For Ethan's psychological health, I recommend full custody be awarded to his father. The testimony was devastating. Maya could see the judge taking notes, her expression unreadable. Attorney Morrison stood for cross-examination. Dr. Sterling, you said you conducted naturalistic observations. Did you ever introduce yourself to Mrs. Chun? No. Naturalistic observations require the subject to be unaware, to see authentic behavior. So Mrs. Chun never consented to being observed? Consent is not required for observations in public spaces, Helena replied smoothly. Did you ever conduct a formal psychological evaluation of Mrs. Chun? No. Did you ever interview her? No. Did you ever speak to Ethan directly? No. Morrison stepped closer. So your entire assessment is based on watching from a distance and drawing conclusions. Professional psychologists are trained to make accurate assessments from behavioral observations, Helena said defensively. Dr. Sterling, were you paid for this testimony? I was compensated for my professional services, yes. By Mr. Dawson? Yes. And you did not find any conflict of interest in being paid by one party to testify against the other? Helena's expression hardened slightly. My conclusions are objective and based on scientific observation, counselor. Who pays me does not affect my professional judgment. Morrison had no smoking gun. Helena had prepared well. She had covered every angle. The judge called for a recess. Maya left the courtroom feeling destroyed. She leaned against the wall in the hallway and sobbed. "We're losing, aren't we?" she whispered to Attorney Morrison. Morrison looked back toward the courtroom. Through the glass door, he could see Marcus and Helena standing close together, talking quietly. The way Helena touched Marcus's arm. The way he looked at her. "Something isn't right," Morrison said quietly. "That woman is not just an expert witness. But I need proof." The next day, it was Maya's turn to testify. Attorney Morrison had prepared her, but nothing could calm the terror she felt as she walked to the witness stand. After being sworn in, she sat down. Her hands were trembling. She tried to steady her breathing. Attorney Morrison began with gentle questions. "Maya, can you tell the court about your life as a mother and wife?" Maya's voice was soft but clear. "I married Marcus 10 years ago. I was working as a graphic designer at an advertising agency. After Ethan was born, Marcus asked me to stay home. He said a child needed his mother's full attention. So I left my career. What was your daily routine?" "I woke up at 5:30 every morning. I prepared breakfast, packed Ethan's lunch, took him to school, cleaned the house, did the laundry, prepared dinner. Everything was my responsibility. And the photographs showing the messy house, can you explain those?" Maya took a deep breath. "Those were taken when I had the flu. I had a high fever for 5 days. I could barely get out of bed. I asked Marcus to help, but he said he was too busy with work. When I finally recovered, I cleaned everything. But he had already taken the photos. And the credit card charges? That was a supplementary card in my name, but Marcus used it constantly. He said his primary card often hit the limit with business expenses. I trusted him. I never made those purchases. I didn't even know about them until I saw them in the divorce papers." Some people in the gallery whispered sympathetically, but the judge's face remained neutral. Then it was Richard Sullivan's turn. He stood up with a predatory smile. "Mrs. Chun, you claim your husband set you up. Is that correct?" "Yes. So everything is his fault? The messy house? The overspending? Everything." "I didn't say that. I'm just explaining what really happened." "But it sounds like you take no responsibility for anything," Sullivan said mockingly. "You're the perfect victim, aren't you?" Maya's voice shook. "I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm saying I'm being falsely accused." Sullivan picked up the photos. "You said these were taken when you were sick. Do you have medical records proving you had the flu for 5 days?" Maya hesitated. "No, I didn't go to the hospital. I took over-the-counter medicine. So there's no proof. Just your word against these photographs." "I was sick. I'm not lying." Sullivan moved to another topic. "You said your husband used the credit card. But it's in your name, correct?" "Yes, but did you ever report the card as stolen or misused?" "No." "Did you ever call the credit card company to dispute the charges?" "No. I trusted my husband." "Or perhaps you approved those purchases and now you're lying to avoid responsibility?" "That's not true." Maya's voice rose. Sullivan smiled. He was getting the reaction he wanted. He walked back to his table and picked up a large photograph. He held it up for everyone to see. It was a picture of Maya in their bedroom, her hair disheveled, her face red and tear-streaked, her mouth open mid-scream. "Your Honor, I present Exhibit D," Sullivan announced. "Mrs. Chun, can you explain this photograph?" Maya's breath caught. She remembered that night. Marcus had come home late. He had been cruel, calling her worthless and useless. She had finally broken down and cried. She had shouted back at him in desperation. And he had photographed her without her knowledge. "That night, Marcus provoked me," Maya said, tears beginning to fall. "He said terrible things. He called me a failure. He said I didn't deserve to be Ethan's mother. He wanted me to react like this." "So you admit it," Sullivan pounced. "You admit you became hysterical. You admit you lost control. Exactly as Dr. Sterling described." "No, that's not. You screamed and cried. In your own home. While your son was upstairs. Is that the behavior of a stable mother?" "He was trying to hurt me." Maya's voice cracked. "He set me up." "Or perhaps," Sullivan said coldly, "you're simply an unstable woman who can't handle the pressures of motherhood." "That's a lie." Maya stood up from her chair, tears streaming down her face. "Everything you're saying is a lie. He's destroying me. He's taking my son." "Witness, please sit down," Judge Hernandez said firmly. Maya collapsed back into her seat, sobbing. Her shoulders shook. She looked exactly like the image they had painted, hysterical, unstable, out of control. She had fallen into their trap. Sullivan smiled triumphantly. No further questions, Your Honor. Maya was helped down from the witness stand. She could barely walk. Attorney Morrison held her arm, guiding her back to their table. Across the courtroom, Marcus lowered his head in fake concern, as if saddened by his wife's breakdown. Helena, sitting in the gallery, had a barely visible smile. The judge shook her head slowly. Maya could see it in her eyes. She had already decided. We'll adjourn for today, Judge Hernandez said. Closing arguments and verdict will be tomorrow at 9 a.m. That night was the darkest of Maya's life. She knew she had lost. Tomorrow, the judge would take Ethan away from her. Marcus was not home. He was probably celebrating with Helena. Maya went to Ethan's room. Her son was already asleep. She sat on the edge of his bed and watched him breathe. His face was peaceful, unaware of the nightmare about to tear their lives apart. I'm so sorry, baby, Maya whispered, tears falling onto the blanket. I tried so hard. She stroked his hair gently. Maybe this would be one of the last times she could do this as his full-time mother. Whatever happens tomorrow, I want you to know that Mommy loves you more than anything in the world. Always remember that. Ethan stirred slightly. His eyes opened halfway. Mommy, she'll go back to sleep, sweetheart. But Ethan sat up, rubbing his eyes. He looked at his mother's tear-stained face and wrapped his small arms around her. Don't cry, Mommy. I love you. Maya hugged him tightly. She didn't want to let go. She didn't want tomorrow to come. As she held him, she noticed something on his nightstand. The old cracked phone was sitting there, partially hidden under a book. Ethan, why do you still keep that old phone? Maya asked gently. It's broken. I'm worried you'll cut yourself on the cracked screen. Ethan pulled away from the hug. He looked down at his hands. I like it, Mommy. It's special. Special? Why? Ethan hesitated. Then he looked up at her with serious eyes that seemed too old for a 9-year-old boy. Because it has important things on it. Things you don't know about. Maya frowned. What things? But Ethan just hugged her again. You'll see tomorrow, Mommy. Don't worry. Maya didn't understand, but she was too exhausted and heartbroken to ask more questions. She kissed Ethan goodnight and returned to her own room. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, counting down the hours until she lost everything. The courtroom was even colder than before. Maya sat rigidly in her chair, her eyes empty. She had not slept. She had barely eaten. She looked like a ghost of herself. Beside her, Attorney Morrison was reviewing his notes for closing arguments, but even he looked defeated. Marcus arrived looking fresh and confident. Richard Sullivan was already reviewing his victory speech. Judge Hernandez entered. Everyone stood. Please be seated, the judge said. Before we proceed with closing arguments, I want to review the evidence once more. She opened the file in front of her. I have considered the photographic evidence, the financial records, and the expert testimony from Dr. Sterling. I have also considered Mrs. Chen's testimony yesterday. Maya closed her eyes. Here it came. The end. Based on the evidence presented, and particularly Dr. Sterling's assessment, which was unfortunately supported by Mrs. Chen's emotional outburst during her testimony, this court has serious concerns about. Stop. The voice was small but piercing. It cut through the heavy silence like a blade. Every head in the courtroom turned toward the back door. There, standing in the doorway, was Ethan. He was alone, still in his school uniform. His backpack was on his shoulders. In his small hands, he clutched the old cracked phone. Marcus's face went from confidence to shock to pure terror in seconds. Ethan, what are you doing here? Guards, remove him. Ethan, sit down right now. Marcus's voice was panicked. But Ethan didn't move. He walked down the center aisle, his footsteps echoing on the marble floor. He didn't look at his father. He didn't look at his mother. He looked directly at Judge Hernandez. Your Honor, Ethan said, his voice trembling but clear. Please, I need to show you something. Something my mom doesn't know about. The courtroom fell into stunned silence. Judge Hernandez stared at the small boy standing before her bench. Richard Sullivan jumped to his feet. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. A child cannot. Silence, Mr. Sullivan, the judge said firmly. She looked at Ethan with gentle eyes. Young man, what's your name? Ethan Dawson, Your Honor. And what do you have to show me, Ethan? Ethan held up the cracked phone. A video. Of my dad and Miss Sterling. They don't know I recorded it. Marcus shot up from his chair. No, Your Honor, that recording was made without consent. It's inadmissible. Mr. Dawson, sit down, Judge Hernandez ordered. Her voice was steel. Young man, how old are you? 9, Your Honor. And why did you record this video? Ethan's eyes filled with tears, but his voice stayed steady. Because Ms. Sterling came to our house. She was mean to my mom. And I heard them talking about taking me away from Mommy. I knew it was wrong. So I recorded them. The judge nodded slowly. Bailiff, please help this child connect his phone to the courtroom monitors. Your Honor, I object. Sullivan shouted desperately. Objection noted and overruled, the judge said coldly. I want to see what this boy has recorded. Maya was frozen in her seat, tears streaming down her face. What had Ethan done? When had he recorded anything? The bailiff took the phone carefully and connected it to the display system. The large monitors flickered to life. Ethan pointed to a video file. This one. The bailiff pressed play. The video began. The angle was low and shaky, filmed from behind the living room couch. Ethan must have hidden there. Then 2 figures walked into frame. Marcus and Helena. Helena was not in her professional clothes. She wore casual loungewear. Her hair was down. Marcus immediately pulled her close and kissed her. Gasps filled the courtroom. The video continued. Their voices were clear. Helena's voice. Are you sure tomorrow's verdict will go our way? Marcus's voice laughing. Absolutely. The judge has already made up her mind. My pathetic wife sealed her own fate when she had that breakdown on the stand. Helena, what about the money? Did you transfer everything? Marcus, every penny. The joint account, the savings, even her grandmother's jewelry. I sold it all. Everything's in your offshore account. Maya won't see $1. Maya gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. The jewelry. He had stolen her grandmother's jewelry and sold it. The video continued. Helena, and you're sure you'll get full custody? Marcus, of course. With your fake psychological report and the photos I staged, there's no way she wins. The judge thinks she's unstable. Helena, laughing. I still can't believe she fell for it. The woman is so naive. Marcus, that's what made it easy. She trusted me completely. Idiot. They kissed again. Then Helena pulled back slightly. Helena, what about Ethan? Won't he want to stay with his mother? Marcus, shrugging. He's 9. Give him some video games and he'll forget about her. Besides, we're moving to Singapore once this is finalized. New life, new start. Maya will be stuck here with nothing. Helena, what if she tries to fight back? Marcus, with what? No money, no lawyer, no evidence. I destroyed her completely. By the time we're done, she won't even have visitation rights. Ethan will be ours. Helena, ours. She smiled and raised a wine glass. To the new family. Marcus, raising his own glass. To freedom from that worthless woman I married. They clinked glasses and kissed passionately. The video ended. The screen went black. The courtroom was completely silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Then chaos erupted. Marcus lunged toward the bailiff's desk, trying to grab the phone. Turn it off. That's fake. It's edited. Security guards grabbed him immediately, forcing him back into his chair. Helena, sitting in the gallery, stood up and tried to run toward the exit. But Judge Hernandez's voice rang out like thunder. Bailiff, seal all exits. No one leaves this courtroom. Officers blocked the doors. Helena was trapped. She sank into her seat, her face pale and her hands shaking. Judge Hernandez's face was red with fury. She gripped her gavel so hard her knuckles were white. Mr. Dawson, the judge's voice shook with rage. Did I just witness a confession to fraud, perjury, theft, and conspiracy? Marcus was breathing hard, sweat pouring down his face. Your Honor, that video is. Is what? True. Because I certainly heard your voice clearly. And I heard Dr. Sterling's voice clearly as well. The judge turned to Helena. Dr. Sterling, please stand. Helena stood on shaking legs. You sat in that witness stand under oath, the judge said, her voice cold. You provided testimony that you claimed was professional and objective. But you just confessed on video that it was fabricated. Do you understand what perjury means, Dr. Sterling? Helena's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Judge Hernandez turned to Richard Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, did you know about any of this? Sullivan's face was ashen. Your Honor, I had no knowledge of any affair or conspiracy. My client assured me the evidence was legitimate. Your client lied to you, And you helped him destroy an innocent woman's life, the judge said icily. She turned back to Marcus and Helena. Bailiff, place them both under arrest immediately. Officers moved quickly. Handcuffs clicked onto Marcus's wrists. He was no longer the confident, powerful man who had entered the courtroom. He was broken, terrified, gasping for air. Your Honor, please, I can explain, Marcus begged. Save it for your criminal trial, Judge Hernandez said coldly. Helena was also handcuffed. She was crying, her makeup running down her face. This is a mistake. I'm a respected psychologist. You can't. You were a respected psychologist, the judge corrected. As of this moment, I am recommending your license be permanently revoked. Officers, take them away. Marcus was dragged past Maya. For the first time, he looked at her with something other than contempt. He looked at her with fear. He knew his life was over. When they were gone, Judge Hernandez turned to Ethan. The boy was still standing near the bailiff's desk, looking small and scared. The judge's expression softened. Ethan, come here, please. Ethan walked slowly to the judge's bench. Judge Hernandez leaned down so she was at eye level with him. That was a very brave thing you did, she said gently. You may have just saved your mother's life. Do you understand that? Ethan nodded, tears streaming down his face. I just wanted to help my mom. She's not bad. She's the best mom in the world. Judge Hernandez smiled, her own eyes misting. Yes, she is. Now go to her. Ethan ran across the courtroom. Maya stood up and caught him in her arms. She fell to her knees, holding him tight, sobbing. Thank you, Maya whispered into his hair. Thank you, my brave, brave boy. Judge Hernandez banged her gavel. Order. I am ready to make my ruling. Maya stood, still holding Ethan's hand. The divorce petition filed by Mr. Marcus Dawson is dismissed entirely, the judge announced. However, I am granting Mrs. Maya Chen the right to file a counterpetition immediately based on adultery, fraud, and abuse. She looked at Attorney Morrison. Mr. Morrison, does your client wish to file for divorce? Maya nodded firmly. Yes, Your Honor. Granted. Full custody of Ethan Dawson is awarded to his mother, Mrs. Maya Chun, effective immediately. Maya's knees buckled. Attorney Morrison caught her arm. Furthermore, the judge continued, all assets in the names of Marcus Dawson and Helena Sterling are frozen pending a full criminal investigation. Mrs. Chun, you will receive full restitution for all stolen funds and property. Judge Hernandez's expression hardened. Mr. Dawson will face criminal charges for fraud, perjury, theft, and conspiracy. Dr. Sterling will face charges for perjury and fraud. Mr. Sullivan, you will be reported to the Bar Association for your role in this travesty. She banged the gavel. This case is closed. Mrs. Chun, you and your son are free to go. The courtroom erupted in applause. People Maya had never met were clapping and crying. Attorney Morrison hugged her. Maya sank into her chair, overwhelmed. Ethan climbed into her lap and hugged her tight. We're going to be okay, Mommy, Ethan whispered. Yes, baby, Maya said through her tears. We're going to be okay. 6 months later, Maya and Ethan moved into a cozy townhouse with a small garden. It wasn't huge or fancy, but it was theirs. And it was filled with love. Maya reopened her graphic design business, working from home so she could always be there for Ethan. Orders came in steadily. She was building something of her own. Marcus was sentenced to 15 years in prison for his crimes. Helena received 10 years, and her psychology license was permanently revoked. One sunny afternoon, Maya and Ethan were planting flowers in their little garden. Ethan looked up at his mother and smiled. Mommy, are you happy now? Maya paused. She looked at her son's bright eyes, at their small home, at the life they were building together. Yes, sweetheart. I'm finally happy. Ethan hugged her. Me too. Maya realized something important. She had thought she was a failure because Marcus had told her so. She had believed she was worthless because he had made her feel that way. But she had never failed. She had raised a son with courage, with integrity, with a sense of justice. And when the world tried to destroy her, it was her son who saved her. Sometimes the people we think are weak turn out to be the strongest. And sometimes the truth comes from the smallest, bravest voices. Did you enjoy this story? What would you have done in Maya's situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to tell us which city or country you're watching from. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories like this one. Your support helps us continue bringing these important stories to life. Thank you for watching. Until next time, remember, the truth always finds a way.